Well, just a short little video diary this afternoon. I've been busy on quite a few things around the office, and I'm want to get into some other material. So I just thought I'd send something out so people would know I'm still around. Richie is still at work. I'm going to collect her just now in the next hour. And yeah, one thing I just wanted to cover was the issue of what will happen as time goes on, as we come out of this kind of lockdown, as we get over the curve, as it were, and we start to get a better control of the number of people that have the disease, and the NHS has better control on holding people as they get through the disease, the more severe cases that is. I wanted to talk a bit more about the likely routes forward generally, because a few people said to me, no, we don't agree with you. We don't think it's going to be different. Well, we think it will be the same. It will get back to the way it was. And I think that would be an opportunity lost, quite honestly. I want to make that point clear, because as much as I think there were a lot of good things we were doing, there were a lot of challenges that we were very slow at dragging our feet in. A lot to do with green energy, yeah, and but other things as well. I think the world became a little bit chaotic in being able to complete certain things. I mean, if you hear James Dyson always used to go on about the number of engineers we generate out of our universities in the UK, but how many remain in the UK and actually design and make things in the UK? They end up going abroad, and things are being made, in other parts of the world. And I think that's something we've got to look at very carefully. I think, all this just getting stuff from China because it's cheap, or from other parts of the world, I think we've got to look at ourselves very seriously, and we've got to say, look, if we can't make that in this country, then I agree, we go and get it from somewhere else. But I think we should be looking at things in a lot more detail in terms of what we can actually do in our own country to make practical use of the skills and knowledge in our own country. So I think it would be a mistake to go back to the routine of buying loads of plastic buckets and mops in container loads from China. That's a silly example, I know, but that's the sort of thing I think we should be avoiding. I think we've also got to put travel back up in the form of only on an absolute necessity should we be jumping on aeroplanes and flying around the world. I think flying halfway around the world for a long weekend, to me, is bonkers. And therefore, if people are going to do that, then they have to pay a very premium price for doing it. Likewise, flying anywhere for that matter. The value of flying around the world should be put at a premium. And look, I have family around the world, so you think I'd be arguing about that. But premium. I would pay a premium still to go and see family around the world, because that's would I value it. But would I pay premium to go and buy a lot of plastic buckets? No, I probably wouldn't. That's what we've got to try and get right in our minds, how we want to go forward. I think the value of how we look at our countries, our people, our neighbours, is all part of this process of change we're going to have to follow. Oh yes, and it brings me on to a book. I've talked about this book before, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, by Dr. Stephen Covey, the late Dr. Stephen Covey. This book was published in the late 80s, I think it was 89, and that was when I was introduced to the book, actually, in South Africa, because the chairman of our company saw this book when he was in the United States and embraced it, and it changed his life because he went in a total different direction, and is still there today, doing things with his son, all related to this factor. But this is a very key book, and I would suggest everybody lots of people now should have the opportunity to read this book, and it'll take a little bit of reading. I've read it quite a few times now, and I still revert back to it. But it's a book of definite value, and it could certainly help over the coming months as we go through this change. Life is not going to be the same.